Hey guys, I'm back with another set of JPEG recipes for your no-edit photos. We have one specifically for night photos, a gritty black and white, and one that creates a strong warm color cast. These film simulations have drastic color shifts because I made them with specific goals and shooting conditions in mind. And while they don't exactly emulate particular film stocks, I got a lot of inspiration from film photos and tried to do color matching. With that, let me share the first one. I'm naming these recipes after streets in Makati. This is a Sook photo taken in Valero, and this is what it looks like with the profile applied. I would pass by Valero Street every day coming from work. The highlight of this street for me are the storefronts lighting the street. These artificial lights are the inspiration for this recipe. This film simulation is inspired by tungsten balanced film stocks. To start with the warmer base, I used classic negative. This shifted the reds more to the orange side. If you don't have classic negative on your camera, you can use Provia. The obvious difference would be the vibrancy of colors, and red would lean more on the magenta side rather than orange. I set the white balance to 3800 Kelvin with red -7 and blue -2. This shifts the white balance to the cooler side and creates a teal overcast. I set both Color Chrome Effect and Color Chrome Effects Blue to strong. This is similar to lowering the luminosity of colors in post. I set both the highlight and the shadow to -1 to make the image a bit flat. I set the color to -4 to reduce color contrast. This desaturates the image a little bit. If you are already using a diffusion filter, I recommend going for a higher clarity value or turning it off. The other settings like grain and sharpness can be changed based on your preference. Here are more examples of this film simulation. This is a Sook backlit shot from De La Rosa, and this is what it looks like with the profile applied. De La Rosa Street is my favorite street photography spot in Makati. I don't usually chase sunsets, but when I want that dose of golden hour, this is the spot that I go to. The De La Rosa golden hour is the inspiration for this recipe. This film simulation creates an exaggerated orange overcast. It's also soft and creates that nostalgic afternoon vibe. I used Provia as a base to start with a balanced look. To make it a bit more washed out, I set the color to -4. I used 6500 Kelvin white balance for a warm base. And to create the orange overcast, I shifted the white balance to red +5 and blue -5. I set the shadow to -1 and the highlight to -2 to create a low contrast soft blue. I set the color chrome effect to strong so that colors that are in the highlights will not get washed out. Color chrome effects blue is set to weak to make the blues a bit darker. Feel free to change the other settings based on your preference. Here are more examples of this profile in action. This is Provia Sook, and this is what it looks like with the profile applied. Malugay Street is a mixed residential and commercial area. There's always a good amount of movement, and you'll always find a spot that is busy. This area is also a bit gritty, and that is the inspiration for this recipe. This recipe makes the greens and blues darker, while keeping the yellows bright. I use this profile when I practice shooting black and white. I use Acros with yellow filter as the base. I left the white balance to auto and set the red to -9 and blue to -9. This is what made the greens darker. For higher contrast, I added +1 to both shadows and highlight. I set the green to strong large to make the image rougher. I left the other settings to default since I was already happy with the current look. Here are more examples of this film simulation. And that concludes this set of Fujifilm recipes. If you have any questions about the settings, let me know in the comments below. I'm Kebs and I'll see you next time.